Reading comes out of the 14th chapter of John, verses 15 to 21. And it's a relatively short gospel reading as Sunday gospel readings go. And in those 6 short verses, Jesus uses one word 9 times. Now, as I read through the gospel reading, and it's really heavy toward the end of the gospel reading, this one word. Did anyone catch the word that is used 9 times in a gospel reading? It's one word. Okay, someone said, a couple of people said it. It's this word right here. It's the word love. That word is used 9 times. It turns out to be that the message of the gospel reading is in this word love. The message of the life of Christ is in the word love itself. Christ loves us so much, what did he do? He dies on a cross for our sins. That is the ultimate definition of love, is Christ dying on a cross for our sins. Now, love means knowing how to treat someone with kindness and respect. And how do we do that? Well, I learned a little bit about love from a little dog. A little dog that's about that tall, about 14 inches long, and weighs 11 pounds. You know, this one day, about 2 months ago, I had a funeral over in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. It was at the funeral home, not at a church. So I'm driving to the funeral home and looking for the funeral home. I'd never been there before. On my way to the funeral home, I run across this place called Action for Animals, a no-kill shelter, a rescue place for dogs. And I said to myself, well, when a funeral's over and I go to the reception, and after I spend some time with the family there that I know well, on the way back, if the place is still open, I'm going to pull inside and see what a place like that is all about. I've never been inside of a no-kill shelter for animals, for dogs, cats. So after the funeral was over, and I went to the reception, it's kind of late now, it's about 5 o'clock in the evening. I'm driving back here to Lower Borough, and I thought, okay, great. I'll see if they're still open. Lo and behold, that particular day was the only day of the week that they're open late to 9 o'clock. So it worked out really well. So I got to park the truck, and I got inside of the animal shelter, and the very nice people there that work there, and I said to the person, can I see I hear all the dogs barking in the back, and can I go see them? Sure, come on back. So he took me back, and there's a long hallway. On the left and the right side of the hallway, there's little cubicles. And each cubicle has a dog inside of it that's been rescued from some difficult situation. All these dogs are barking and wagging their tail and jumping up and down as I'm walking by, and they're probably saying to themselves, hey, there's my potential new owner. So I'm walking by all these dogs, and I get to the very end of the hallway, and there's this little teeny-weeny brown dog, and he's shaking. He's trembling. He's in a corner. He's not even moving. He's just shaking really, really bad. And I said to the person, what's the story on that dog? He said to me, well, that dog was rescued from an abandoned home. We feel that dog, as he's 3 years old, we think he was abused literally by the family that lived at this home, probably for about 2.5 years. They beat him pretty good. He was in very bad shape when we first found him and brought him to the animal shelter. On the very day we brought him to the animal shelter, up until this very point, he's been in that corner, and he just trembles and shakes. And then I look at the little door that has the dog encased inside of it, and his name was Sparky. And I said to myself, Sparky, you know, my dad always told me when he was a little boy, his very first dog he named Sparky. So I thought to myself, I think that's an omen, so let me take a look and see Sparky. So the fellow said, well, I'm going to take you to a room, and you'll sit on this chair in this room, and I'll bring the dog to you. When he opened up the little door to get Sparky, Sparky kept running from corner to corner to corner. He was running away. Now, abused dogs, abused animals, and sometimes people, if you're abused, dogs like to run to a corner because they're safe on 2 sides. All they have to do is look at the peripheral vision ahead of them, and they're safe on the 2 back sides. Little Sparky kept running from corner to corner to corner. All of a sudden, the fellow who worked there kept chasing the dog from corner to corner. And finally, he bends down, and he reaches for the dog and grabs him. And little Sparky started to scream and scream and scream. Probably every time a human being touched him, he was abused and hurt. So he's screaming and screaming. I'm sitting in this room waiting for the dog, and he opens up the door to the room, and he puts the dog on the floor, and little dog runs right in the corner. And then he leaves. I'm sitting on a chair in this room, and it's just me and this little dog. I have my hand down, and I'm calling the dog's name. Eventually, the little dog, after about a half hour, I'm waiting there a long time, he's sitting in the corner just shaking. He comes over and he starts to sniff my fingers. He's real slow at first, and every time I wiggle them, he backs up. Then I'd stop and he'd come forward. He's real shy, real scared. He's been hurt a lot. After about a half hour doing that, I said to myself, okay, I'm going to try it. I'm going to reach down and pick this little dog up and put him in my lap. And I thought to myself, when I grab hold of him, if he starts to scream, I'm going to run to the corner. So I leaned over in a chair and I reached down and I grabbed him, and he never made a sound. Whew, I said to myself. And I put the little dog on my lap. He's sitting on my lap, and he's just trembling and just shaking. It's amazing. So I just leave him there. I'm petting his head and just rubbing the back of him. As about another half hour goes by, and his trembling and his shaking is greatly reduced, and it's slowing and slowing and slowing. All of a sudden, the little dog turns around, and he leaps from my face and gives me a kiss. And I looked at him and said, Sparky, guess what? You're coming home with me. We live up in Lower Burrell. He said, I don't know where Lower Burrell's at. So I brought Sparky here with me, and he's been a fun little dog, and it was about probably 2 weeks ago. So I've had him now for a month and a half. About 2 weeks ago, when walking through the rectory, and Sparky, when he's with me, he stays close. He stays close to my leg, because maybe he understands that to be a secure spot. I'm not sure. So he's walking through the rectory, and he's really close to me. And one of the rooms in the rectory is a full-length marrow, and it goes from about the floor, maybe about 6 feet tall, up 6 feet. As we walk in front of that marrow, Sparky stops, and he looks, and he sees another dog. So I turn around to watch what's going to happen here, and Sparky is just standing there looking at that dog. Where did that dog come from? Now, Sparky doesn't know that the dog in the marrow looks like him, because he's probably never seen himself before. But Sparky's looking at that dog in the marrow. And from what transpired from that point for the next several seconds, I believe it's a message out of the gospel reading, how Jesus wants us to love. People respond to all of us based upon the reflection we give to them first. Sparky is looking at that dog in the marrow, then all of a sudden he starts to growl, and exactly at the same time, the dog in the marrow starts to growl back. And I can see Sparky starting to tremble and shake again. After a couple seconds, Sparky couldn't take it anymore. He barks, and at exactly the same time, the dog in the marrow barks right back at him. And then Sparky is standing there, and then he did something. I didn't think he'd do this, because I thought he was really a frightened little dog. All of a sudden, he takes off for the dog in the marrow. And the dog in the marrow runs right towards Sparky. And Sparky got scared, and what do you think he did? He ran to the corner. Ran right to the corner. So I went over and got Sparky, and he's really shaking. He's trembling, and I pick him up, and I walked him over to the marrow. And I said, Sparky, look at this marrow. And I began to explain the invention of the marrow and how marrows work and how they're designed and how they're made. I don't think he understood any of that. But now Sparky could see him and he could see me, and now every time we walk in front of that marrow, he's okay. But I thought to myself when I first read that gospel reading, love. You see, Jesus teaches us the ultimate act of love by dying on the cross for our sins. He shows us first what it means to sacrifice. None of us probably will ever parallel the sacrifice of Christ by dying on a cross for others. But some of us will. Anyone who performs that action has already. I think quickly of those who died in the military, of whose names we'll remember and whose lives we'll remember next weekend, who gave the ultimate sacrifice, who showed us really what love really means. And then I looked at Sparky and I said to myself, Sparky, you offer to all of us, and myself for sure, what it means to love. How do people treat you? How do people respond to you? When you walk up to a stranger and you haven't seen this person your whole life, how are they going to respond to you? Well, here's the answer. It all depends how you treat them first. Because we are a reflection of how people are going to treat us. So if you see someone, and even a friend or a family member, early in the morning you see them for the first time on the start of a new day, or a complete stranger, and as you're walking by a complete stranger, you say good morning or hello, or give them a little wave and a nice smile, what are they going to do back? Whatever you did. If you said hi, they'll respond. If you gave them a wave, they'll respond. If you gave them a little smile, they're probably going to respond in kind. But if you see someone, a family member, a friend, or a stranger, and the first thing you do is bark and growl at them, how are they going to respond? They're going to bark and they're going to growl. And you're going to run away. Just something to think about. How people treat us is really dependent upon how we treat them. And psychologists say that you can actually change a person's disposition with kindness. If someone walks by you and they don't even look your way and you say hi, if you get the luxury of turning around and walking back toward them and they spin around and walk the other way, if you try hi for the second time, they'll probably respond with hi. I think that's a nice little message. But I learned it from a little dog that's that high, that long, weighs 11 pounds. His name was Sparky. When he looked in that mirror and he barked and growled and then ran away, I said to myself, Sparky, you taught me a little lesson about life. People will always treat us the way we treat them. They will respond according to how we treated them first, with a wave, a smile, or bark, or a growl.